Hey everyone, this podcast is part of Story Mode, the podcast network of Gamefully Unemployed. You can support us and gain access to other great exclusive podcasts at patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. That's patreon.com/GAMEFULLY unemployed, which is spelled like it sounds.
Hey everybody, I'm David Bell.
I'm Tom Ryman.
And we just watched, Jesus, what did we just watch?
Pacific Rim Uprising.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah. Took me a second to remember what the title was.
We were born into a world at war. Between the monsters that destroyed our cities and the monsters we created to stop them, we thought we had sacrificed enough. But the war we thought we finished is just beginning. And the only thing standing in front of the apocalypse is us.
This movie is, it's slowly draining from my mind as I speak. Like, I'm forgetting it.
I mean, it's a movie that's completely inoffensive in any possible way, but also in all like the ways that adjective can be negative, in that it's just very like this movie doesn't matter.
No, and
like, nobody's going to be thinking about it in a year, I don't think.
We were talking about this on the car ride. I'm like angry at the movie a little bit because we right now Isle of Dogs is out, Unsane is out. There are genuinely like interesting films out right now, and we knew like Isle of Dogs is a limited release, so we knew that people might not want to listen to something with spoilers about a movie that's good,
like that, or Unsane.
And Unsane is like a
weird Soderbergh experimental iPhone movie.
Yeah, so we went with this fucking movie.
Yeah,
and I'm angry at it for making me see it.
Well, Pacific Rim has a lot of friends. First off, I should say that I super don't like the first Pacific Rim.
I liked it okay, and then the fans made me angry at it.
Right, like I felt like it was fine. It was like, well, okay. Here's
all right.
And I actually didn't mind the second one. I enjoyed it fine while I was watching
fine.
I liked it. Certainly liked it better than the first one. The reason I didn't like the first one was that I don't like movies that are dumb and then they look at me and wink at me constantly about how dumb they are.
Yeah.
And then like all the praise, seemingly all the positive things I had heard about, like it's in the fandom also, and that's not necessarily fair to the film, but the fandom of Pacific Rim also kind of got on my nerves because it's like, but you see, that's what's great about it is it's so dumb, and I'm like, no, that's not what's great about it.
Also, and
like,
I'm going to sound really elitist talking about this, but like when I saw Doctor Strange, it was a really beautiful film. This will get to Pacific Rim,
okay.
And it's really trippy, and everybody was talking about how trippy it is.
Yeah,
and it was like, yeah, it's trippy. I mean, go watch like a Terry Gilliam film, or like go
watch Baron Munchausen.
Yeah, like it's Hollywood trippy, it's studio trippy. I feel the same way about Pacific
Rim. The effects
Rim.
are amazing in Doctor Strange.
Oh yeah, it's a good movie. It's a really good movie. I'm just talking specifically about the quality of trippiness. It's like kaleidoscope effects and stuff. It's as basic as weird trippy gets for me, at least.
Right, like if you're gonna,
it's not that heady.
I don't like.
It's not.
Yeah,
like it's good. It's beautiful. It's just that's as bizarre as Marvel can get. For Pacific Rim is for me like the Hollywood version of a bad movie. Like Sharknado is another one.
See, I think there's even a difference between Pacific Rim and Sharknado in that I feel like the fandom did a lot of the work for Pacific Rim because I don't feel like Pacific Rim is tongue in cheek.
No, I guess,
really don't.
I guess not.
I think it's just dumb.
I guess I mean more in terms of people ironically liking something.
Yeah, but I don't think any of that's actually present in Pacific Rim. Like the movie itself, like as a text, I don't think that it's being deliberately ironic. I don't think that it's being
right.
I don't think it's tongue in cheek. I think the movie was done seriously, but that it was just dumb.
Okay, yeah. And the fans are sort of...
They're sort of doing the work. Well, like, no, see, that's what they know it's dumb. I'm like, no, I don't think they know it's dumb.
But also, like,
and the reason I suspect that is because, the movie breaks its own rules.
Right.
And by that, I mean, it spends however much the entire first film is about how important and unique the connection is between two people, and then they just throw that out at the ending because they need Idris to get into the machine with somebody else,
which is dumb.
And then the sword thing, and it's just
it's dumb in general. The
anyway.
Needing two people, the initial premise of needing two people to like this new one. I guess we should talk a little bit about this new one. I really have like we came out of the theater and there was a group of guys all circled around each other and they were starting to passionately talk about the film. And we both commented on that you said it made you
instantly diminished my enjoyment of the film. Yeah.
And it just made me bummed because it was that idea of like my first impression of this film is that it's not worth talking about. It's not.
Paradoxically,
again,
because here we are.
Yeah, exactly. In a couple of days, I will have forgotten this film. Yeah. And like it wasn't bad. It wasn't so bad it was fun. It wasn't so good it was memorable. It wasn't again, it's not a bad movie.
It's fine.
Just, yeah.
It's fine. Like I said, I enjoyed it more than the original. And one of the things I enjoyed about it was it just threw that drifting nonsense out the window. Like anyone can mind link with anyone pretty much.
I do like that
in this film.
The person initially perceived as the villain is the person like, we could just do drones and like, which was of course.
Yeah, it was like, and it was actually also the story for this movie was more interesting than I anticipated.
Well, it wasn't
like
that was the thing is the first half of the movie was me like, really, this is going to be the movie? Because it was like Top Gun, but like then there was like
it really seemed like it was going to be Iron Man 2 for a minute, where it's like there's this Chinese company is developing Jaegers that can be piloted sort of drones, but they still it's more remote operation. Yeah. They weren't actually drones, but they were calling them drones.
It was really funny though that I thought people were angry at them because it's like, look at how you're doing it. Like,
right. Like what we're doing is very stupid.
Yeah, like of course remote pilot it. Of course. And they're like, you're taking something away from us or whatever, and they're like, no, I mean, we still need people to pilot it. Like, you can just safely pilot it. Like, that was weird. Is there was like protests on the street?
Well, those were like kaiju worshippers, but you had to like read. You had to like read the really quick.
I couldn't understand the conflict there.
Whatever they call it, the little banner at the bottom of the news.
Oh, okay.
There's a word for it that I have forgotten.
The Oh man, why is this word just disappeared from?
Let's move on. On. You guys someone out there is screaming the word at us right now.
In their car. Yeah, but like that was a dumb debate, I thought. Because you think they'd be like, oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That's real great.
Because what we're doing is dumb.
Yeah, it's killing a lot of us.
Yeah, it's killing a lot of people. It's wildly unsafe. It's incredibly impractical from an economic standpoint and a training standpoint.
Yeah.
This movie gave me characters that I cared about, which is something that was missing from the first Pacific Rim for me.
I'll say
I didn't give a shit about anyone in that first movie.
I'll say yes and no, because I also thought this situation was dumb. They were like recruiting children.
Yeah.
And I feel like a few like there was the Ender's Game. There was, if anybody's seen The Fourth Wave. The Fourth Wave or Fifth Wave, I think it's called The Fifth Wave.
Fifth Wave, yeah.
I enjoyed The Fifth Wave. I'm just throwing that out there, but they do it with kids, but they actually like sort of give a reason for it. But in this one, what did they say? Like just because they're younger, they can
their neural bond will be stronger if they start to develop it younger.
It just felt like someone should be mad at them for doing this because there's these scenes where they're all like in their barracks and they're fighting, but they're all like kids.
Yeah,
and it's like
they're like teens. They're not like children.
They still shouldn't be.
They're like older kids.
Robots.
Older kids. No, yeah, they probably should be piloting giant robots. But I guess the movie's making the conceit: hey, the kaiju have been gone for 10 years. We have time to train up this generation.
Which again is more reason why they. The plot starts with this.
It's like a cool kind of military school, right? Yeah. It's like your parents send you to military school, except it's cool because you get to fly a giant robot.
It was weird that girl didn't have much of a choice. That they like, it's not
right. Well, they were going to send her to prison.
Yeah,
this 12 or 13-year-old girl.
It just felt like they enslaved a child.
They did.
Yeah.
So this is how the movie starts. Is John Boyega is the son of Idris Elba from the previous film, and he lives a life now of just
Partying?
he's essentially a scavenger. He's essentially Rey from the Star Wars movies.
Yeah,
That's kind
true.
of how we're introduced to him. Is that he climbs inside a shut down Jaeger to scavenge valuable parts, and he just kind of like squats in mansions all over Los Angeles.
Half blown up mansions.
Mansions.
I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
I thought these were cool concepts. I liked the post Pacific Rim War.
Yeah. And then he's going into this one Jaeger to steal a power core, but it's already been stolen, and he chases a person down who steals it, and it's this 13-year-old girl who's been building her own diminutive Jaeger. It's only like 20 feet tall.
Yeah. This was
in her garage.
At this point with the movie, I was with it. Like,
yeah.
And I was with the movie for a lot of it, but this movie was getting my interest at this point. It was like, this is
an interesting way to. This is not at all what I was expecting for the sequel from Pacific Rim. Like, I was expecting full on, first 3 minutes, the kaiju are back.
Kaiju don't show up
until the end.
Of this movie. So that's something people should know. I'm sure this is why it has a low audience rating. Is I think there were people who just wanted to watch robots
fighting kaiju.
And this movie, surprisingly, like, we got like an hour in, and there was like maybe only one battle sequence.
We got a solid hour of like character stuff, which I enjoyed.
I respected them doing that.
Yeah.
I didn't care enough to like.
I
got bored, but
that's fair.
I still respect the movie for doing that.
Yeah, that's fair. I enjoyed the two main characters, John Boyega and the little girl. So I was happy to watch them go through their character arcs.
They were both good characters, good actors.
And there's something we noticed. There's a lot of John Boyega does a lot of little bits in this film.
Yeah.
To stretch certain scenes out and just to bring like a little more kind of like character and charm to the film. And then at the end we notice he's one of the producers. So it's like, oh, okay. So he just kind of was like, hey, look, this kind of needs to be a little better.
Yeah, I'm going to spice up this scene.
There's not much on the page.
Because again, you get an hour in, there's only one battle. It's a lot of like people grumbling at each other. There's a lot of
it's a lot of expository dialogue.
Yeah, it's a lot of characters not liking each other and fighting.
Yeah.
And so in those scenes, like the scene I was thinking of was when he's making the ice cream.
The ice cream, yeah.
Which was a weird premise. Like when they started him looking in the fridge and there's like 6 whipped cream cans. It was like, why do they have so many whipped cream cans?
And they have ice cream in the top freezer.
Yeah.
And then
but it was like a little ice cream station, sure. Like,
yeah, and then he's got like a whole jug of sprinkles.
Yeah.
But they do a thing there that...
He's doing a whole bit.
He does a whole bit. I have a feeling that scene as originally written was just the two of them in a room.
Yeah, exactly.
And then he's like, well, what if I'm doing this whole business with this ice cream? And they kind of make it work because they're establishing that John Boyega and Scott Eastwood used to be co-pilots. They came up in the Jaeger program together, and then John Boyega washed out. Or left the program, rather. So they kind of set that up. After he gets out the whipped cream, Scott Eastwood's like, oh, the ice cream's up there. So they kind of set up like maybe John Boyega's character, ice cream is his thing.
Yeah.
Like maybe he just eats ice cream because his old buddy knew like, oh, you're looking for the ice cream. It's
yeah.
So they kind of sort of, it's still kind of weird.
It's a weird scene, but
how much business he does with that ice cream.
Well, it takes over the scene.
Yeah,
because,
it does.
Again, the dialogue isn't all that interesting because it's like, okay, I get it. You guys don't like each other. I get it. I get the conflict here. So it was just like, hey, what's he doing with the sprinkles? Like I started getting like really invested in his ice cream.
It does sort of just commandeer the scene.
But I think they needed that.
Yeah.
Because I think John
really
Boyega was looking at that scene. He was like, man, we don't really need to.
Yeah. Because there's like, it's probably 2 pages of dialogue. Mm-hmm. And really the only important information in there is Scott Eastwood's telling him, hey, this drone program is coming out, so we may not even need to worry about you teaching these kids how to be pilots.
I can't believe you remember the context of the conversation. I
pay very close attention when I watch movies.
I mean, that's the thing I do too. I just don't. This movie, again, it was like, I'm just forgetting it as we talk about it.
Yeah, that's fair.
This movie did not affect me, really. Like,
yeah, and then we kind of get like a Top Gun thing where it's all the kids competing with each other, and then so there's like 2 separate storylines going on. You got John Boyega's storyline with it's really just his relationship with the girl, because all the adult characters he interact with are kind of like
remember they have a romantic like rivalry
that character,
over
that
a character
a
that doesn't
pointless
exist.
character who doesn't do anything.
She keeps showing up and talking like we're supposed to know who she is.
Yeah.
But they never introduce her.
She never does anything.
I don't know her name. Do
It
you
was like
remember her name?
it was like Flores or something. It was
It never goes anywhere.
Jules. That was her name.
Jules, like a prize that they're
sure.
fighting over.
Sure.
Because she has zero
She
personality.
only shows up. Yeah, she has no character at all. She only shows up when they mention her.
Yeah, she's like Beetlejuice.
Yeah, and yeah.
No, like, and then at the end she like kisses them both.
She
It
shows
says
up before
good
the
luck.
final mission and gives them both a good luck kiss on the cheek, even though like it hasn't been established. Like in a couple of scenes, maybe once or twice, like John Boyega like teases Scott Eastwood by being like, "Yeah, I wear this robe because Jules likes a man with style." It takes me, and in that scene, it took me a minute to remember which character that was that he was referring to. But other than that, we have no indication that either of them actually has a romantic relationship
That's
with
the
her.
thing. I couldn't figure out if like what's his name, Eastman.
Scott Eastwood.
Eastwood. He's an Eastwood.
He
right?
is an Eastwood.
Yeah, 'cause
Couldn't
he
you-
sound-
couldn't
yeah,
you
yeah.
tell?
He was very much. Very
was-
much. I couldn't tell if he was just named Eastwood, and he was just.
If he
like,
just happened to be
I'm gonna
named
lean into
Eastwood
this.
and
Yeah.
look almost exactly like Clint Eastwood.
Yeah, this could happen.
He even delivers lines the same
Yeah,
way
he
as
really
Clint
does.
Eastwood.
Good for him. Why not?
Sure, fuck
Let's
it.
get another. It's like cloning. Clint
Yeah, let's get
Eastwood.
another
Like,
Eastwood.
let's get
Sure.
another.
Make Heartbreak Ridge again. I'll watch
but
that.
yeah,
Does Mario
I-
Van Peebles have a kid? Throw Mario Van Peebles' kid in there.
Fuck it. Yeah.
Yeah, let's just do Heartbreak Ridge again. Fuck it, let's do Dirty Harry one more time.
Yeah. Oh,
we just
you know
did
we will.
we
You
just
know
did
we're
Death
gonna-
Wish.
Yeah.
We want to bring back the power fantasies of middle-aged white men.
So glad I didn't have to watch Death Wish. I'm so
Oh,
glad
man.
you and Adam took that bullet.
We took that bullet.
Yeah. So, what was they never finished that arc, or
No, they
and
don't.
yeah,
They don't finish that arc.
Eastwood keeps like being like, "Oh, it's, don't you think about my girl," and stuff like that too, and it never amounted to anything.
No, it doesn't amount to anything. Their conflict really doesn't either, because
No.
the movies they kind of dislike each other, and then
Yeah.
they're like, but they're really fine with each other. So it really never really was that serious of a conflict between the two of them.
No, and then at the end he has like I guess an arc where Eastwood gets hurt in the robot. And,
Yeah, so
like,
the little-
has to
the
eject.
little
And he
girl has to
looks
help
at him
him.
and says like, "I'm stepping out of your way" or something. Like he says something that seems to conclude like, "We've reached an understanding. I'm gonna
Yeah, I'm getting
But,
out
like,
of your way.
Yeah, I didn't really get the feeling that he was in his way.
I
Like
don't
that
know.
wasn't the conflict.
No, it wasn't.
Like there was again, it was just a very generic conflict.
Yeah,
Which
yeah.
I think happened in the first one too, where there was just the guy who's just like, "Hey, I don't like you."
And in the end, they're like, "I guess we're fine because my dad's dead. Anyway, I'm gonna go die with Idris Elba."
Yeah, exactly.
Like, yeah,
and
it's
that's weird that keeps happening in movies. The Cloverfield Paradox has that too, where they're all just like mad at each other from the start.
right. There's like 3 characters that are deeply mistrustful of each other for no reason.
For no reason. They're like scientists, for Christ's
Yeah.
sake. Like, yeah, and this felt like another one of
Cloverfield,
those
they're all like, "Fuck that German guy,"
yeah.
and he does nothing to them.
No, he really doesn't.
Yeah, so there's like a tiny conflict between with the cadets, like the little girl,
Yeah.
between her and the Russian girl.
Which again, I don't know. I couldn't.
So it was kind of the Iceman thing,
I couldn't figure out. There was a
but not really.
Yeah, there was a
Iceman
few.
from Top Gun.
There was a few lines that like instigated a fight that I couldn't figure out why they were mad. It was one of the ones where it was something where she was talking about the size of her scrapper. She says like something like it wasn't big or
Yeah.
and like it instigates like for some
No,
reason
she said you're only here because you built half of a Jaeger, and then the Amara is the main character. She's like, "Well, no, I built a whole one. It was just small." And then the Russian girl's like, "Well, it should have been bigger." It's like, well, and it was a joke from earlier where you remember the Lin Wu. I can't remember the like the Asian guy that like befriends her.
Yeah.
Like the swole dude. when we're introduced to this character, he's doing like crazy inverted pull-ups.
Oh yeah.
Or inverted sit-ups rather. Inverted pull-ups would be, I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, but wait.
But like he told her earlier, he was like, here, I'm going to teach you some Russian that'll calm her down if she ever gets in a fight with her. So in that situation where they're like arguing about, no, it's like, oh, you built half a year. No, I built a whole one. It was just small. Anyway, here's some Russian to calm you down. And she says, kiss my ass to her in Russian. And so that starts the fight.
I could have sworn those were two different scenes or something.
It was the same scene.
Man. Okay.
Because the Russian lady puts her in a chokehold after that.
Right.
And she was like, I had to work my whole life. You just kind of waltzed in here. And then she's like, no. And does like a front flip arm lock on her. She's like, I learned that on the streets.
Oh, yeah. It really says I learned that on the streets. That's a line in this.
You learned a super complicated mixed martial arts move on the streets?
It's really weird when people say I learned that on the streets in movies. Because what does that mean?
I don't know.
Is there like a guy
School of Hard Knocks,
yeah,
buddy?
Is there like some guy teaching them?
Yeah, is that an accredited program?
The streets.
Yeah. Anyway, it's a movie that's full of action movie cliches, but none that like make me mad. They're just kind of like they don't.
Yeah, they're just there.
Like I said, it's an inoffensive film in every possible definition of the word.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not.
One genuinely chilling moment in the film.
You're going to talk about the brain?
I'm going to talk about the brain.
That was the moment
that was a shock.
Maybe this movie will become notably bad, because that reminded me of Johnny Mnemonic when they suddenly are just like, here's a dolphin in a cyborg dolphin, and it's not like that big of a deal in that movie. And I was kind of hoping that I probably explain the scene, but I was kind of hoping that it didn't lead into something else. It was just there, and then it was.
No, and then it's.
But it makes sense in the plot.
So Charlie Day is the villain in this film.
Yes, that's probably my favorite thing about this movie.
Yeah, it was a bold choice. They start right off by reintroducing his character, who was in the first one, as you guys listening probably know, if you saw the first one. The two scientists are back. Mm-hmm. Charlie Day is introduced. No beard. Shaven Charlie Day. And so immediately you're like jarred by his appearance. I'm like, whoa, that's no, you need your beard.
He's also introduced with a woman who, for the longest time, seemed to be clearly the villain.
The villain, yeah.
And that really bummed me out, because I was like, I didn't expect the movie to do anything past this. I will say, it goes from being this hard-ass, clearly villain to like completely, like, I like the idea of a jerk kind of, coming around and being good, but she like just becomes a different character halfway through.
Well, yeah, and that's twofold. That's part of being underwritten. But the other thing is, it's also, once the red herring is revealed, it's like, oh no, she really did just have the best interests of the world in mind here. Like, of course, when Monsters shows up, she's gonna help everyone try to fight the fucking monsters.
Right, yeah. So, this is the lady in charge of the drone company.
Yeah.
And Charlie Day works for her without his beard.
Without his beard, which is strange.
Yep.
It's very jarring to see him without facial hair.
And then he talks to the German.
He talks to the German scientist from the first movie who's trying to he's saying look, this kaiju blood, I can make rocket fuel out of it. And he's like, nah, don't mess with that. It's weird anyway, because we're about to unveil this drone program, so response time isn't even going to be a thing. We can just send him out. Anyway, you should. This is the weird. He sets it up by being like, no, you should come by and have dinner. We'll talk about this more. You can finally meet Alice. So we're like, oh, he's got a wife or a girlfriend or something.
Good for him.
And he wants, but it's not like he doesn't deliver it the line is neither delivered nor is it written in the scene to be he doesn't really mean it. It's a real invitation.
Oh yeah, 100%.
He is actually inviting this guy to his house, but then the guy turns it down, and then his at this point, quote unquote, evil boss is like, no, you have to sever all contact with that man. He's crazy. He's like, okay, fine. So we see later on, 2 or 3 scenes later, we see Charlie Day coming home, and he's like, oh, what a day! I can't believe my day. Anyway, my boss is real hard ass, and then Gottlieb, the German guy, showed back up, and he's talking all crazy. Oh, but I'm going to stop talking about my day.
Yeah, that scene instantly made me suspicious.
Oh yeah,
because it was that thing. I thought it was going to be like, it's going to be one of the characters that he's shacking up with, or I thought it was going to be like a robot.
I thought it was going to be a sex robot.
Yeah, there was going to be some reveal.
Joke.
It felt very like Blade Runner than the new one where he comes home and he's talking.
Yeah, but
like, oh, okay, I bet this isn't
right.
Like you start slowly realizing, like, oh, it's not an actual person.
Right.
So I got that vibe immediately.
Right, because he's talking at length to the room and nobody's responding, and we're not seeing who this Alice person is. So, but because it's Charlie Day, it seemed like it was setting up for a joke. So I was like, oh, it's going to be like a sex robot, or it's going to be something that kind of makes him look like a little pitiful. But
it's going to be like a throwaway scene.
Yeah. But then he goes into the bedroom, and it's revealed that Alice is the kaiju brain from the first film that he connected with, and it's floating in a tank with Alice written on it in like red.
Yeah, and he says stuff like he's talking about having a little fun in the bedroom.
Like he's going to fuck this brain.
Yeah. And then he puts on the fucking thing to connect him, and he makes like orgasm noises.
Yeah, it's a horror movie scene.
Yeah, the music gets really creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was the thing, is I really wished it was still like a non sequitur.
Right, like we just never come back to it.
The movie the best kind of bad.
Yeah.
But that sets up, and it was funny because it should have been obvious. It was obvious that made him the villain. But I was still on that mode of like, oh, I hope that's just never...
It's just his weirdness.
Yeah, it never comes back. And then, of course, he turns out to be the villain.
Right, because like the aliens from the other dimension have like sort of taken over his mind. So he's been at this company that's making the drones. He's actually been infusing it with like kaiju DNA, which like turns the drones into these half kaiju, half robot hybrids.
Which I would have accepted. The idea, because she says it, the boss is like, how did I not know, or whatever, and he's like, most of this is automated.
39% of your company is automated.
What I didn't buy happened later when he is fighting the robots with his kaiju,
his army of
and then
nanobots.
He's just like, all right, now we're going to do this. And they're nanobots relative size. But he brings out this swarm of robots that start repairing it.
Swarm of 7 to 10 foot metal scorpions.
Yeah, and
they look like scorpions.
Okay, I don't care how automated it is.
Yeah.
Someone would.
She has a line. She sees that happen, and she's like, "Oh, he's using my something." So apparently, these were developed for some other purpose.
Oh, okay.
Maybe for repairing Jaegers. I don't know. Why make them scorpions? But they basically flood out. That's the first thing I actually thought of, was the flood from Halo, because they just come pouring out of this building. And they climb up on the 3 kaiju in the end of the film and fuse them together into one giant kaiju, and that was pretty sweet.
Yeah, that was fun. I enjoyed that.
I love that it immediately destroys all the robots.
Yeah. It really fucks up the robots.
Yeah.
Like Pacific Rim, there was a lot of moments where it's like, well, clearly people have just died.
Yeah.
Where like the people, even the good guys, should get in trouble. The part where he does the gravity gun, just picks up a bunch of cars and throws it. It was like, there's probably like a baby in one of those cars.
You have no idea if there's any people in those cars. Yeah, you just picked up a bunch of cars and threw them.
And there's a couple parts where like they're getting ready to fight, and they just like, they bring out their swords and like slide it against a building to be cool, and it's like, that's like millions of dollars of damage right there. Like,
right, and that's also an apartment building.
Yeah, it's just like don't casually destroy buildings.
Well, and then he starts pulling buildings using his gravity gun to pull buildings down on the main monster.
Well, they have that one throwaway line, which clearly they knew, where they're like, "Oh, we evacuated the city, everything's fine."
Yeah,
you didn't.
Yeah, it's the line they've started ever since Man of Steel. Every single like superhero movie or massive destruction movie like this slides that line there. It's like, okay, it's completely evacuated. Yeah. My God, these empty buildings.
Yeah, the fucking Batman vs Superman was one of the worst ones, where they go into that part of town and they're like, lucky that entire town is like abandoned.
Well, it was like a dock or like an
right,
island.
yeah,
like a shipping island or something.
But it was like a big, it was a lot of abandoned buildings.
It was exactly as dumb as this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, my brain just locked up.
Mount Fuji.
Oh yeah, so
The kaiju want to blow themselves up to blow up the world.
Apparently, their goal all along was to make it to Mount Fuji. Even though I bet if you go back and watch the first film, the geography of that doesn't add up. But anyway,
yeah,
I'm not going to nitpick the series on that level.
They're going back and
they're retconning
it
and saying, okay, the only thing the kaiju's ever wanted to do was get to Mount Fuji and throw themselves in, because Mount Fuji is apparently connected to like it has rare earth elements, and then it's also connected to like the ring of fire in the mantle or something.
Right.
So like if they jump in there with their just big old meat sacks full of radioactive kaiju blood, it's going to release a poison cloud. It's going to coat the planet and take everything out, and then the little aliens, the main aliens, can come through and live on Earth.
I would have liked to know a little more about the little aliens.
Yeah, I thought we were going to see more of the little aliens.
Yeah, because the moment when we were getting halfway through, and like for the only fight that happened was between two robots.
Right.
So part of me at first was thinking like, oh my god, are kaiju not even going to show up? Like, is this going to be...
I think at that point I realized, okay, kaiju is going to be Act 3. Like
yeah. Well, it's in the trailer, so...
Well, yeah.
But and then when they open it up and there's like a weird kaiju brain, I was like, oh, okay, so it's like the kaiju have infected.
Mm-hmm. That was a cool
the robots, yeah. But at first, like, part of me just wanted, I would have loved a sequel where it was just a rival company and it was robot fights.
So it's,
where it was like, this is the world now. Like, it's like, okay, the kaiju are defeated. Now let's have to deal with the problems that is a world of giant robots, which is the first part where she's building her own little robot and they're talking. There's like robot policing the other big robots. It was like, oh, what a cool world they're building of like the kaiju are gone.
It was like some Robotech shit.
Deal with ourselves.
Some pot labor.
Yeah, that would have been a really cool way to do a series. Like I was almost disappointed at the presence of the kaiju, even though I knew they had to be in it.
Right. That's it's the only reason this movie exists.
Yeah, it would have been more interesting, I think, if they
maybe. I mean, that's Iron Man 2.
Yeah,
we're about to Iron Man 2 this,
but with giant.
With giant Iron Mans.
I don't know. This movie didn't need to be made, so it's like where else to go with it? Just like. It would have been neat to go somewhere interesting. Yeah. Or
what they I thought what they did was pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's again that it's a superhero problem where it still has to end with them doing this specific thing, which is in this case fighting a kaiju. Like it had to end with fighting a kaiju.
Yeah.
So all roads are pointing to there.
Well, then the next movie is going to be like they're going to Avatar ponytail fuck the kaiju and then be driving the kaiju.
That would be cool. Yeah.
Yeah, you turn it into, you give them like guns and shit. It turns into Dino Riders.
Yeah. I guess so. Why not?
Call me.
Yeah.
Legendary Pictures or whoever produced this film.
The other thing is at this point, it's another one of those cases of the good guys are really just causing the problems.
Oh, yeah.
Because Charlie is working for them. Like, at this point, the world needs to step in and be like, okay, we're done here. Like, stop making giant robots. You've killed a lot of people. Yeah, we don't need them. Stop messing with the brains of these things.
Not only do we not need them, we are squandering the Earth's resources making these robots.
We need to move on. We closed the rift. Like, let's move the fuck on. Let's start rebuilding. And they have that beginning where they're like, yeah, we sort of rebuilt. And then other places not so much. I'm just so exhausted from this the disaster genre.
Yeah, it's hard to be invested in so much destruction.
Yeah, when human life doesn't matter, it's so hard to care too much because at the end of this, they like one of the people, the pilots dies, and they give him like a second to mourn, and then at the end, you
just see his bloody hand. Well,
yeah,
that was the weird thing. I'm glad you brought that up because I almost forgot. It was one of the things I wanted to mention. He has an arc that they set up. Remember, he's like, man, I hope when I die, I get a 12 Jaeger send off. And they make like a bit about it where the rest are kind of like ribbing him about it.
Oh yeah, and then he dies.
And then he dies, and we don't see that. Like I thought, okay, he's gonna die, and then we're gonna see the Jaeger send off. Nope, he just dies.
Yeah, they could have pulled
and they never,
like Guardians of the Galaxy 2, where like God, what a
or a Royal Tenenbaums.
Yeah,
it's a hell of a headstone. I wish it was mine.
Yeah,
God
damn.
It's the only reason to have that character say that line.
Yeah. What a bummer. Because, yeah, and then they literally are just, like, jumping up and down and playing with snow at the end.
Yes.
And it's
And
like,
then it
yay,
ends.
our friend died.
And then it ends very abruptly.
Yeah, it does.
Them playing in the snow, then...
It ended in one of those ways. I've seen a few movies, especially from the 90s where this happens, where it feels like it's the producers like, okay, wrap it up. We got to go. Like,
yeah.
I think Die Hard with a Vengeance is one where they're just like, yeah, we blew up the bad guy.
Yeah,
Credits.
yeah. Credits start rolling while the characters are still speaking in Die Hard with a Vengeance.
It's like the movie knew.
Yeah.
We were busy. We need stuff to...
Let's go. Let's
stuff
go.
to do.
Let's go.
Let's
Wrap
end
it
this.
up. Wrap it up.
Yeah.
It's serious. Yeah, Die Hard with a Vengeance seriously ends like 17 seconds after Jeremy Irons dies.
Yeah.
If that.
Yeah,
if
pretty
that.
much.
Yeah. So
So,
this
yeah.
film ends super abruptly. It's
Yeah, I don't...
It's fine.
I hope there's not a third. I don't want to think about this anymore.
Yeah.
Pacific Rim, the first one, I haven't
don't-
watched since the theaters.
No.
I have no desire to watch it. And this wasn't a bad movie. I just can't wait to edit this podcast and then bring the
Cast it
put
out of
this
your life.
in the world and then
Yeah.
be like, okay, I don't have to think about this movie anymore.
Yeah.
It's not a good recommendation for this movie.
No,
when it
I
feels
mean, and this
like
is-
a chore to think about.
And the why I liked this movie more, at least more than the previous installment, may be like the exact reason why you, who listening, may not like it, and it's because I felt like this movie weirdly took itself more seriously, which made me less annoyed by it.
Yeah, I will say I think I liked it more than the first one too.
Yeah.
Which is weird because the first one's made by Guillermo del Toro, who is a good filmmaker. That said, I haven't been too happy with the stuff he's done lately, but generally he's made some good work.
Right, yeah, but you and I have had this conversation where all of his movies, like not from the visual level, just from like the story level, are kind of dumb.
Yeah, that's true. They are kind of dumb.
So,
Pan's Labyrinth, I think, is the least dumb.
yeah.
But-
Devil's Backbone.
Devil's Backbone. Really, it's the early stuff. Shape of Water is, you still haven't seen it. It's so
Nope.
dumb.
No. But I mean, I thought Crimson Peak was dumb.
Yeah, Crimson Peak was really dumb.
And I mean, I like the Hellboy movies, but those are dumb.
Yeah. I do like those. I was thinking about them while watching this, just because I realized I haven't watched them in a while.
And that's another reason why Pacific Rim doesn't stick out to me, even as like a Guillermo del Toro film, is it's not visually arresting in the way that every other movie he's ever made is.
I forget it's a Guillermo del Toro film.
Because just like, this is the most bland,
It's...
like...
There's the one thing he did in the first Pacific Rim, which I appreciate because it's what movies like this Pacific Rim we forgot to do.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I'll say the first one is better in terms of visual for this reason, is that he shot the first Pacific Rim. He specifically said, I'm going to shoot it in a way where the camera always has to physically exist in the world. Meaning that no long sweeping around shots, zooming through stuff.
Yeah.
So he wanted to, because the whole point of a giant monster movie is to show it
The
from
scale.
the perspective
Yeah.
of the people watching. And it's always so irritating to watch one that shoots down on them and like sweeps around, because that defeats the purpose.
It shoots down or it shoots at eye level with the robot. So
yeah.
it's like...
It's just, then it's a little,
you
it's
have
not giant robots,
no.
it's a tiny city.
Right, yeah.
And it's really stupid that they don't figure out that basic thing. Jurassic World I've accused Jurassic World of this numerous times, also does that, where they shoot like down on the dinosaurs so they're not impressive. And it's like they forget they want to like there's a shot in this where they're all preparing.
Yeah.
And it's like this fake oneer where it keeps zooming around to each one.
Yeah.
And it's like, I feel like the director was like, look how neat this is. And it's like, yeah, it's neat. Completely ruins the scale of anything going on, and it feels like I'm watching a bunch of action figures now. Like,
Yeah.
it reminds me that it's not real.
If you want to do that scene, do it as an actual, build that set, build that hangar with those robot sets, and do it as an actual oneer.
Yeah, exactly.
With
From the
crane
ground.
moves and
Watching
coming
people
down,
and-
like you would get I've seen shots like that before.
Yeah.
Not on that level. It was.
Yeah,
I think
that
it was
was,
just
like,
ultimately
really-
too complicated to do.
Yeah.
Practically.
But they could have. I would have accepted. I would have been more impressed by a less complicated version of that shot, like you're saying, where they don't have to zoom around like that and like try to make us impressed about how good their computers are.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care.
Yeah, I know computers can do anything.
Yeah. Yeah, show us what you can do as a filmmaker, you know?
Yeah.
Like and so I think the original Pacific Rim was definitely shot better.
They have one shot in this. I mean, it's completely ridiculous, but that sort of does that, and it's in Amara's memory when she's on the boardwalk, and then the water starts coming down like it's raining. And so, of course, we know what that means. And then she looks up and there's the monster. That's like the only time we get a sense of the size of these things in this film.
And there was a shot in that there was a moment that felt like a missed opportunity where we laughed. It's when her family gets stepped on.
Yeah.
They kept cutting. The boardwalk breaks in our memory, and her dad's like reaching out to her, like, come on, jump. And they keep doing like a close up or like a medium shot of the dad and of her, and then they go to a wide shot, and this monster foot goes bloop, like Monty Python style.
Yep.
And I thought, like, wouldn't have it been so much better if they kept to the medium shot, and so you just see him, and suddenly he's just like wiped out, like gone, and all you see is kaiju flesh replacing. Like, it would have been less clear, but people would have gotten the point, and it would have been a little more shocking. Like it felt like. There was some moments like that where I was watching the film like, oh, that's a shame they didn't make it like this way.
I think they did. Well, it was still kind of a long. It was still kind of a long, medium to long shot in the original Cloverfield when his brother gets crushed on the bridge.
Oh yeah. That was kind of cool.
But that was more. Like, I didn't laugh when I saw
it was
that.
more jarring. It was just like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. And that is the first Cloverfield. The one that's the thing I'll give it is that. They did exactly what we're talking about, which is showing it from a ground perspective. That's the whole point of that movie.
Yeah.
It didn't need to be a series of 3 films with a expansive
that
lore.
Are not
that
connected at all.
Yeah, that missed the entire point of the first movie.
Yeah.
Also, this is a weird. I don't want to call it a gripe. I'm just like, hey, what's up with that? The credits. They did that weird 3D thing where it's like all cool 3D models.
Yeah.
Every movie is doing that now. Tomb Raider, I noticed, did that as well.
Yeah.
It's not bad, but it doesn't seem appropriate most of the time. I think the Marvel movies do it as well. Mm-hmm. Where like Tomb Raider, for example, it didn't feel like the type of movie that needed like these wild 3D credits. This one kind of in between, but it's more just, I think it's like one company doing them or something.
Maybe, yeah.
Where they're just hiring these companies where they just do the same thing over and over again, but it's creating the sameness that is bugging me because it's neat looking, but when every movie is doing it, it stops becoming neat.
That's just what credits look like now. Yeah. Really loses some impact there.
And I feel like the reason they're doing it is, again, I get it because like I think one of the Captain Americas did it and one of the Avengers did it, where
both the Avengers did
they like zoom in on their suits and stuff.
The first Avengers does that. It like kind of it's like zooming in on like their identifiable piece of their equipment.
Yeah.
And then the second Age of Ultron, where it's this single marble statue that's like marble statue quotes that's carved of all the characters, and it's like zooming in on each character in the statue.
And in this one, it's just the kaiju and the robots.
Kaiju
and, like,
blueprints. It's like the Iron Man credits.
Yeah, but the reason I sort of get it is because if I was a production designer for one of these films or a costume designer, it's kind of neat to see.
I want you to see all the work.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of neat the movies because that's probably the most unique and interesting thing about all of these big budget movies
is the design.
Production design. Production designers this is like the best time to be a production designer right now. And so it's cool that the credits are being like, look at what we did. Look at what we made. Isn't this neat? So I'm not against it. It's just weird that it's the same thing every time. And then that's why Tomb Raider stood out because Tomb Raider is not one of those.
Yeah, it gives the film a sort of gravitas.
Yeah.
And it feels strange in some places. Like in Tomb Raider. Well, Tomb Raider, I guess, because it's like this iconic...
the Tomb Raider ones, but yeah.
It's this iconic franchise that you associate certain things with it. So it was like, here's this thing and here's that thing.
It's a weird, like, they're taking a victory lap.
Yeah.
And some movies don't deserve
movies don't deserve to take a victory lap.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
This movie, for example.
I mean, it's fine.
Yeah, I don't know.
If you, I can't even say that. If you liked the first movie, you'll like this one because I didn't like the first movie, and I was fine with this movie.
And you'll notice, the Rotten Tomatoes score for this is pretty low. Critics did not like it, which I get, and then audience doesn't like it, which I get, because it almost feels like it's not for either. It was in this weird in between thing where they like settled on story a little bit.
Yeah.
Which is neat, but then they didn't do it enough to satisfy a critic watching this.
No.
And that would just piss off audience members who are like, get to the fucking fighting. And so it was like in between being a crazy action film and being like a real movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But again, I didn't hate it. I didn't hate it. I don't know.
I mean, neither one of those things is done so poorly that I hated the movie. So
yeah,
I mean, it's fine. Watch it, I guess, or don't watch one of the other movies that's more deserved. Go see Annihilation.
Yeah, go see Annihilation, for fuck's sake, people.
Go see Unsane.
Unsane. That's what's his name? Soderbergh's iPhone movie. Go see Soderbergh's iPhone movie.
Yeah, that'll probably be real fun. Fun treat.
It might be, yeah. Or see fucking Isle of Dogs if it's playing near you.
I feel like a Wes Anderson film doesn't need our endorsement.
No,
I think enough people are probably going to see that film. But yeah, go see Isle of Dogs.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so many other movies. Really, Annihilation, I think.
Yeah.
We should do a new podcast where it's just
go
every
see
week
Annihilation.
We talk about why Annihilation needs to be appreciated more.
Yeah. Well, all right. I think we're done.
I think we're done here.
Done talking about these robots.
Yeah. Thanks for everybody. Thanks for the listening. All the listening you're doing.
Oh yeah. Oh, they solved the sword problem in this one to a degree.
What did they?
All the robots immediately pull out their weapons.
How did that solve the sword problem?
The sword problem for me was they don't reveal that they have a sword in the first film until
open with it.
Until like 2/3 of the way through. It's like, use your sword. It's like, okay. And I'm like, what? A sword? And then he pulls out this sword like it was always this battle plan, like right there and waiting in the wings. It's like, they have a fucking sword?
Yeah. There's probably some guy who made that sword who was watching the whole time. Like, come on, guys, I made you a sword. It took a long time to make that sword.
It was a weird thing to introduce in the third monster fight.
And then it ends the fight.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh yeah.
So like, bro, open with the sword.
Yeah, just cut him in half.
So yeah, everybody has a kooky weapon and they all just whip it out immediately in this film. So there's that.
Yeah, they're like dumb weapons though. It's like
the mace was kind of the mace was kind of cool.
I'd love to see
like a little morning star, like a
that
mace.
Was cool.
The flail. That's the word. Sort of. I don't know.
It feels like guns. Just put guns on them.
Just
a flail is getting pretty out there because then they have to like build a giant chain and like.
Oh, don't get me started on what it would take to craft a 100-foot broadsword.
Yeah, it seems.
Yeah.
Kind of unrealistic. I want to say unrealistic a little bit.
It's fine.
A little bit.
Don't worry about it.